Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of NEC On The Run. I'm Kyle Turner for NEC Front Row. Joining me today is Ron Ratner, the NEC Hoops guru. Ron, thanks for joining me today.
It was an incredible week of NEC Hoops once again, so I'm excited to break it down.
All right, we're going to jump right into it. We're going to jump into some NEC headlines. And Ron, NEC men's basketball knows how to do drama on TV.
You got that right, Kyle. Drama would be an understatement considering the last 8 days what we've seen in NEC Hoops. We had the drama in Loretto last week with Earl Brown from SFU on a Friday, followed by Chris Hooper on a Sunday, putting in buzzer beaters that sort of became the talk of the league. Then this week, we took it to the next level. TV game, MSG, Saturday night, Central Connecticut against Wagner, nip and tuck battle throughout, gets down to the final seconds, and Marcus Burton, who has done it all for Wagner this year, hits a 27-foot shot with a man in his face to tie things up. Looks like we're going to overtime, 1 second to play. But no, we another one of these fantastic finishes. After a timeout, Ferrante Drakeford throws a baseball bullet pass about 65 feet down the court. There's Brandon Peel, who just spins, wheels, and hits an amazing three-pointer. And then suddenly, the NEC, Central Connecticut, and Wagner are on the tip of everybody's tongue once we got to SportsCenter at 11 o'clock. Those two shots led off the program, and then Brandon Peel's shot wound up being number one on top 10 plays. So it was an exciting night, and it's been an exciting time for NEC Hoops.
All right, it was definitely an exciting night for Brandon Peel and NEC men's basketball on Saturday night, but that was not the only exciting finish last week for NEC men's basketball.
No, there were plenty of big shots last week. Let's go to Thursday night at Sacred Heart. Fairleigh Dickinson down 9 in the final 90 seconds. There's Darian Anderson stroking a three-pointer with 14 seconds to play, sends the game to OT, and then he almost won it in overtime at the buzzer. He hit a shot that was initially ruled good, but they went to official review and waved it off. But what a game that was up in Fairfield. Then we had that same night, Marquise Reed from Robert Morris. He hits a three-pointer with Christian Kreina near 7 feet right in his face to send that game to overtime, which RMU would go on to win. Saturday, LIU's Joel Hernandez hits a follow dunk with 22.8 seconds to play. That ices a game that was a tight one with FDU. What a play that was. And then Saturday, ESPN3, Robert Morris's Lucky Jones. He hits the go-ahead three-pointer with 18 seconds to play in a huge win over St. Francis Brooklyn. Quite a number of big plays this week.
So definitely an exciting week for NEC men's basketball last week, but let's shift to the next headline. Sacred Heart's been in a lot of close games during conference play.
Yeah, definitely what I would consider a hard luck team. Plenty of talent there. They've lost some really tough ones. They lost on Earl Brown's last second shot. They had a 1-point overtime loss at LIU. They lost to St. Francis Brooklyn, who's in first place by 2 points in their opener. So they entered this week, they're 1-5, and but they could have easily been, 4-2. Then this week, the luck was on their side. As we mentioned, they beat FDU in overtime 78-77 on Thursday. Strangely enough, that was the first overtime win for Sacred Heart since 2001. They had lost 12 straight overtime games against NEC opponents. Then they had their most impressive win of the conference season. They went into Bryant, first place Bryant, and won in Smithfield on Saturday. So 2 big wins for Sacred Heart. I think they can be a factor as the year goes on.
Yeah, hopefully things start to turn around for them. We'll shift to the next headline. It's getting very crowded at the top of the NEC men's standings.
Yeah, can you believe that we are almost at the halfway point of league play? We will hit that this week. It's incredible to me. Are we shocked to see Robert Morris in first place? I don't think so. That's the way it is each year for Andy TOOLE and his troops. They had a huge win over St. Francis Brooklyn on Saturday in a great ESPN3 game. So now there's a 3-way tie with Robert Morris, St. Francis Brooklyn, and Bryant, 6-2. And there's Mount St. Mary's playing some real good ball at 5-3. Very little separation as we hit the second half of league play this week. A couple of big spotlight games I like to point out. Mount at St. Francis Brooklyn on Thursday, then Bryant at RMU on Saturday. Real big ones.
It'll definitely be interesting to see how things shape up in the second half of conference play. Now let's look at an NEC number. You've got a big one this week. What is it?
Yeah, definite shout out to Robert Morris head coach Andy TOOLE. Reached his 100th victory. Now, he's only been there in about 4.5 seasons now. So if you can get to 100 in 4.5 seasons, you're on a path that few have traveled. He's the quickest to 100 wins in NEC history. He also joins RMU former head coach Jared Durham as the only coaches in program history to reach 100 wins. So in 4 seasons, check these win totals out for Robert Morris. 18, 26, 24, 22. They're already at 10 this year. So, congrats to Andy and his team. They're a contender again this year. And there's one tweet that I actually like about Andy reaching his 100th win from Dan Yost at DTYST1. Andy TOOLE, now 160, has to be in the conversation for the best coach in Pittsburgh, not named Clint Hurdle. I really like that one.
That's definitely a good tweet. Congratulations to headman Andy TOOLE over at Robert Morris. Now, we're going to look at your NEC Spotlight performance, and I'm pretty sure you've already picked this guy once this season, but who is it?
Yeah, I'm going back to the well with Marcus Burton on Wagner. No surprise in there. They beat St. Francis U 63-58 Thursday. It was all about Marcus Burton in the second half of that game. He had 22 of his 23 points. He had 2 huge back-to-back three-pointers with under 2 minutes to go that helped seal the win. Added another 19 in that Central game on Saturday, and if it wasn't for Brandon Peel's shot heard around the world, we'd all be talking about Marcus Burton's 27-footer, which was amazing. Also, honorable mention this week. The numbers aren't as big as some of the other guys, but I saw him play in person this week. He had 2 big games. Steve GLOWIAK on Sacred Heart really keyed them to those 2 wins last week. Senior guard's known for his long-distance shooting, but he finished with 13 points and 10 boards, his first career double-double on Thursday against FDU, and had 11 and 7 off the bench in the big win over Bryant. So shout out to Steve GLOWIAK.
All right, Ron, let's take a Twitter timeout. There's a couple tweets out there from this past week. Let me have them.
All right, my man Kevin Connors, ESPN. He's a Sports Center anchor, but many people don't know is that he one of his first jobs was with the NEC. He was a play-by-play and sideline announcer for us a few years ago, and he anchored Sports Center on Saturday, and he had this tweet: "Love leading off Sports Center with NEC hoops. Unreal finish today between Wagner and CCSU." Thank you, Kevin Connors. One of the NEC alums out there, now doing great things for ESPN. Another tweet, actually a couple tweets from Carvel Anderson from Robert Morris, the 2013-14 NEC Player of the Year, currently playing professionally in Italy, but he's still watching NEC Hoops on ESPN3 in Front Row. He tweeted this Saturday while he was watching, "Love being a pro, but damn, I miss playing in the NEC." And then he followed it up with, "Players from the NEC have a different type of grind to them. Everybody feels overlooked or underrated." Carvel Anderson, one of my favorites. Glad to see he's still paying attention. And, while we do miss him around here, good to see so many new players at Robert Morris stepping up to fill the void.
It's also definitely good to see that, players that have passed on are still keeping tabs on NEC while watching NEC Front Row. Speaking of NEC Front Row and the television games, we're going to talk about what a streak NEC is on so far with TV matchups.
Yeah, that's one of my responsibilities, picking TV games, so I'm looking smart right now. We'll see if this lasts, but all 6 NEC men's basketball TV games have been decided by 5 points or less this year. Some really good ones, and capped with Saturday's magnificent finish at Central Connecticut. Let's see what we can do this week. This Thursday on FCS, ESPN3 in Cox, another good one, Bryant at St. Francis University. Then Saturday, we have another busy day. We have Red Hot Mount at Sacred Heart. Sacred Heart won a pair of games last week. That'll be 2 p.m. on ESPN3, and the first of 2 televised games between the 2 teams this season. Then it's the big one of my favorites, the Battle of Brooklyn, LIU at St. Francis, Brooklyn. It'll be on MSG and FCS at 4 p.m. This game never fails to produce. And we talked about drama at the beginning of the show here. That one has delivered year after year.
No fouls. Garner. Got it! It's over! LIU survives! 82-80!
I can't wait. I will be there in Brooklyn on Saturday.
The Battle of Brooklyn is always exciting, Ron. Now, NEC men's basketball fans, we're going to show you the schedule for the next week. These are games that can be streamed live on necfrontrow.com free of charge, and there's also some TV games thrown in there. Also, NEC fans, iOS users can download the NEC On The Run app on their iPhone or iPad. That's all we have for this edition of NEC On The Run. I'm Kyle Turner for NEC Front Row, and we'll see you next week.